Honoring our freedom fighters, celebrating our modern-day nation shapers, while inspiring Jamaicans young and old to play their part in making our island the place of choice to be all you can be. That's the focus of National Heroes Day every third Monday in October annually. And today is no different. So sit back, relax, and open your minds to the information that we have to share with you on this Heroes Day edition of Jamaica Magazine.
It's absolutely critical that we receive the vaccines. You will see hospitalizations and indeed deaths likely come down. And so there is a lot of value to be gained by getting as many vulnerables on board as possible. So tell your mothers, tell your aunts, listen out for yourselves if you're over 60, and take the vax, because the vax is what will help you to guard against the COVID virus and indeed help your relatives, your friends, those who you come in contact with for the same benefit.
Being the change you want to see in Jamaica land we love is the mantra for National Heroes Day. Watch as Prime Minister Andrew Holness shares his vision for our great country.
National Heroes Day is set aside as a public holiday each year to honor those great Jamaicans who by their work and often ultimate sacrifice revolted against slavery, secured our freedom, fought for equal rights and justice, guided our independence, resisted oppression, and in so doing, inspired a revolution and an awakening of self-pride and consciousness not only in Jamaica as a nation, but as Black people all over the world. Today, we honor the memory of Nanny of the Maroons, symbolic of the fierce and indomitable spirit of resistance in the face of overwhelming power that has come to define the Jamaican ethos, little but talawa. I speak of Sam Sharp. Though enslaved, he was a deacon and a teacher. He used his education and his religious standing to inspire his fellow enslaved to rise up against slavery. Sam Sharp was hanged on May 23, 1832. He, along with 500 enslaved persons, paid the ultimate sacrifice of their life for our freedom today. The 1801 Christmas rebellion he inspired would prove to be instrumental in bringing about the abolition of slavery in 1834. Now, 30 years after emancipation, there was very little meaningful improvement in the condition of the former enslaved people. The whole strategy was to make economic survival outside of the plantation difficult. Education, healthcare, housing, and fair wages were never considerations of the colonial government. There was no plan to turn the former enslaved into productive citizens, protected by their state with rights and entitlement with a pathway to pursue their well-being and prosperity. The colonial government at the time showed no interest in alleviating the poverty and the miserable conditions of the now free population. It is within this context that George William Gordon and Paul Bogle emerged as social activists and political leaders who provided leadership in the face of the suffering and anguish of the people. This culminated in the October 1865 Morant Bay Rebellion. Both Paul Bogle and George William Gordon were executed, paying the ultimate sacrifice of their life for the improvement of our conditions of living. As a result of their actions, there were some important political and administrative changes to the colonial governance of the island. However, it did not immediately change the economic and social trajectory for the mass of Jamaicans. At the turn of the 20th century, the globalized political system of colonialism had by then largely shed the overtly repressive and exploitative system of slavery. However, freedom did not mean equality and justice for all men. Oppression, prejudice, and segregation systematically denied colonized people opportunity. It was within this context that Marcus Garvey gained prominence as an ideological and intellectual leader of black nationalism and Pan-Africanism. His work and ideas would inspire African revolutionaries, awaken black pride, and mobilize black people globally to defend their economic interests, assert their equality, and manifest their political sovereignty. Garvey's ideology and influence continues to identify Jamaica internationally today. So by 1938, the social and economic conditions of Jamaican workers were at boiling point. It is within this context that Alexander Bustamante and Norman Manley would emerge as leaders in the struggle for social justice and economic opportunity. They would lead the transition from colony to independent state and lay the foundations of the Jamaican nation state. These were pivotal times when the actions of our heroes changed the course of history and defined the future we now live in today. We pay our respect and honor to them by solemnly recalling their contributions and placing them in the forefront of our consciousness. Today as well, we recall the work and contribution of our frontline workers, particularly our public health workers who have worked tirelessly to keep us safe. Many have become ill in the execution of their duties, and unfortunately, some have died. Our frontline workers have been heroes in this pandemic, and we express our gratitude to them. The COVID-19 pandemic would not have been the first outbreak of a dangerous disease to cause a public health crisis in Jamaica. In fact, the struggle for our freedom and independence happened alongside our struggles for better public health. In 1851, Jamaica had a serious cholera outbreak which killed more than 40,000 persons, a tenth of the population at the time. The conditions of living in Jamaica at this time would have contributed to the severity of the outbreak. The lack of basic health care for the population would have formed part of the general discontent with living conditions over which heroes like Paul Bogle would have protested. Diseases such as tuberculosis, measles, whooping cough, polio, diphtheria, tetanus, yellow fever, influenza, and pneumonia were all rampant at the time and were leading causes of death and contributed to low life expectancy. A Jamaican living at the turn of the century up to the 1940s, on average, had a life expectancy of 38 years. All these communicable diseases and the deaths they caused were preventable with better health facilities, better personal and public health practices, and most effectively through vaccines. By the 1950s and 60s, Jamaica started to introduce regular vaccination programs in our public health system for diseases such as smallpox and tuberculosis. During this period, our life expectancy increased to 53 years. In the 1970s and 80s, Jamaica started to develop a more systematic and robust vaccination program, which significantly reduced or eliminated infections from most of the communicable diseases I mentioned earlier. This robust system of vaccination was put to the test in 1982 when there was an outbreak of polio in Jamaica. Jamaica now had the expertise, systems, and capacity to deploy an island-wide vaccination program, which has been hailed as an example in public health vaccination response. We rapidly brought this outbreak of polio under control, and the last reported case of polio in Jamaica was in 1982. The last reported case of local measles was in 1991. Last case of diphtheria in Jamaica was in 1995. The last case of rubella was in 2000. The last case of newborn tetanus was in 2001. How did we eradicate all these diseases from our land? It was through mass vaccination. In 1986, the government of Jamaica passed regulations to support the full vaccination of all children and made it a condition of their admission to school. Today, every mother routinely and dutifully now takes their precious babies, toddlers, and adolescents to their local clinic for their first shots and booster shots. No questions asked. Because of vaccines, preventable diseases are no longer the leading cause of death in Jamaica. Our life expectancy on average is 75 years. We now live longer to enjoy our freedom. But what are we doing with our freedom? Unfortunately, we have grown complacent with our health attitudes and behaviors. We have forgotten our history and how we got here, to the point where we can take our health and the role vaccines have played in securing our personal and public health for granted. Your freedom as a citizen and your right to choose, guaranteed by the Constitution, are not free. Our heroes gave their lives to building a Jamaican state that would provide better conditions for our people, better health care, better education, security, justice, and a better economy. The pandemic has placed all of this at risk the longer we have to institute crude measures, such as lockdowns and no movements to keep you safe from infection spread and prevent our healthcare system from collapsing. And in order to control the pandemic, we have had to divert significant resources from other critical areas such as crime, garbage collection, and roads. My brothers and sisters, my Jamaican family, our heroes did not give their lives to gain our freedom for us to squander it on false information on social media, conspiracy theories, and utter nonsense being espoused by pseudo-prophets and rumor mongers. Our heroes expect us to learn from our history, to be responsible citizens, and take wise decisions about our personal health and protect the collective health of the society. Our history has shown that we have overcome health crises before. We can overcome this COVID-19 pandemic. Inside each of you, there is a hero telling you to cast your fears aside, telling you not to wait and see. Our history has already shown us how effective vaccines can be, telling you that this is about your survival, about your livelihood, about your children being able to go back to school. Be a hero. Do what is right. Do what is smart. Let's get vaccinated so that we can return full focus to continuing the mission of our heroes and founding fathers to build a just, progressive, and prosperous society. God bless and protect you with wisdom and understanding. God keep his eternal light on our heroes. And God bless Jamaica.
The government of Jamaica and its partners invite you to participate in the 7th Regional Platform for Disaster Risk Reduction in the Americas and the Caribbean Virtual Conference from November 1 to 4. Register online before October 20. Together, we are building resilient economies in the Americas and the Caribbean. Register, join the conversation, and let's take action for a cause.
Up next, Leader of the Opposition, Mark Golding's National Heroes Day message.
Greetings, Jamaica. It is with a sense of honor and humility that I join with you in celebrating National Heroes Day for the first time as Leader of the Opposition. We have been nearly 2 years now with this COVID-19 pandemic. Over 2,000 Jamaicans have lost their lives to the virus. Our normal way of life has been disrupted, have endured nightly curfews, gathering restrictions, mask wearing, and no movement days. People have lost their jobs. Some have lost their businesses. Times are hard. We all ask ourselves, when will it end? If there was ever a time that we need to draw strength and unity of purpose from the spirit of great courage and self-sacrifice of our 7 national heroes, this is it. The warrior spirit of Nani, the great Maroon leader who ensured the survival of our people in the wilderness of the mountains and never submitted to the domination of colonial rule. The liberating spirit of Sam Sharp, Paul Bogle, and George William Gordon, each of whom paid the ultimate price in the struggle for the freedom of the Jamaican people and never sold out their cause. The ennobling spirit of Marcus Mosiah Garvey, who led the way in fighting for racial pride and justice, and whose influence was global and will last for generations until the evil of racism and discrimination are finally and permanently discredited and abandoned. The national spirit of Alexander Bustamante and Norman Washington Manley, who led Jamaica out of colonial rule and into political independence as one of the sovereign nations of the world, and gave us a tradition of democratic governance that has assured the rights and freedoms that we cherish and must never take for granted or be afraid to defend. The rich legacy of our national heroes inspires us to be resilient, strong, and determined, especially in this most difficult time. It has been said that a hero is an ordinary individual who finds strength to persevere and endure in spite of overwhelming obstacles. The spirit of our national heroes finds daily expression in our everyday heroes. It is in our nurses and doctors and other healthcare workers who have all been called upon to act heroically to keep us safe amidst the ravages of this pandemic. It is in our police officers and soldiers who face grave dangers every day to protect us from harm and sometimes do not get the praise and support that they deserve. It is in our teachers who have struggled to adapt and innovate so that our children can receive at least some education in the most difficult and challenging circumstances for schooling. It is indeed in the great generosity of the Jamaican people who help one another in their communities by lending a hand or a listening ear to make life a little bit easier. This pandemic has further deepened the pre-existing inequalities in our society. It has laid bare the devastating impact of the digital divide, the vast disparities in outcomes across our educational system, the differential treatment of breaches of orders, and so much more. As the leaders of today, we owe it to our people and to the liberating spirit of our national heroes to tackle these challenges head-on and build a more fair and just society. Our goal must be one Jamaica for all Jamaicans. The beauty of it all is that overcoming our many challenges is not beyond us. The task is great, but our nation is filled with greatness. We have shown it over and over on the world stage and in so many areas of life where we punch above our weight, and earn the admiration of others. So yes, my fellow Jamaicans, we can build a better tomorrow if we act in true allegiance to the spirit of our national heroes, today and each step of the way. Happy Heroes Day, Jamaica.
Last year, we saw over 13,000 victims. However, I am conscious and I'm aware that there are many more. There are children, there are victims in our community that are struggling with the reality of crime and trauma. Some of them individually and directly, and some of them indirectly in the community which they live. I would like to challenge you who are listening, watching this program, to make an effort to call the VSD, the Victim Services Division in the Ministry of Justice. Encourage these children to get help. Encourage, cause us to know so we can reach out to them to get help. The numbers to call are 876-618-3620 or 876-946-2014. Healing and justice for all victims of crime is not just our concern, but it should be the concern of all of us.
I am a national emblem that's black, green, and gold. I was first hoisted on August 6, 1962, and I'm respected in all fora of the globe. What am I? Have you guessed? Take a look to see if you're correct.
I've traveled all over the world and I've seen the Jamaican flag in so many different countries, and it gives me a sense of pride.
Representing my country and seeing the flag means everything to me. It's an honor playing for the national team.
I've migrated for 19 years and have been living in the US, but there is no greater joy knowing how it has the power to connect us and bring us in the diaspora together.
For me, the Jamaican flag is a language, and it includes me in the conversations.
When the Olympics starts and I see the flag waving, it means a lot to us.
Sunday, August 5, 1962, 2 minutes to midnight. The new flag was about to be hoisted over the National Stadium. The lights were replaced by darkness, as if to expunge the horrid memories of the last 300 years. The red, blue, and white Union Jack did its last wave, and then it was lowered, gently tugged down the flagpole by a representative from the Jamaican militia. It had flown its course a long 307 years, and the replacement was the black, green, and gold, our very own Jamaican flag.
The Jamaican flag was approved by government the 6th of August 1962. It is important to know that a flag is a symbol which identifies a country. Started on a very sad note. In times of war, people need to identify with a symbol. So where you are standing, you would know that's my side. So the enemy could take away the flag, and then you would be ambushed and then get hurt. But on a joyful and peaceful note, our flag was established in '62 for our symbols. There was a very active competition, and there were many persons who would want to associate with the design, and so an approval was given. Looking at the flag is diagonal in gold, and there are 4 triangles. The top and the bottom green, and the others black.
The gold, represents sunshine, happiness, or people, no matter if we're going through hardship, we're always smiling.
And the green is for our hope and agricultural resources.
And the black, then in 62, means hardships there are. And that was changed by government in 1997 with a committee presided over by Professor the Honorable Rex Nettleford. So it was changed to mean the creativity of the people. The flag has its protocol. It's never to be put on the ground, and it is placed to the right when you're on the platform. Of course, with athletics international competition, you'll notice people are wrapping the flags all over them. Years ago, that was unheard of because it's a solemn signal. When the national anthem is played or sung, you look in the direction of the flag. We are proud of our flag, and wherever we see it, there are some of us who still bow as respect to our dear country.
When I'm overseas and I see the flag, I feel proud because, not every country is at a big tournament. Not everyone will have their flag flying high.
Our flag is so special because it unites our people wherever in the world we are.
When I look down on the flag, it makes me feel proud as a Jamaican to know that I've been able to serve my country.
So yes, the Jamaican flag gives me a voice. We also have deaf athletes going to represent Jamaica in other countries. And when other countries see our flag, they feel proud, and we feel proud as Jamaicans.
The Jamaican flag represents pride to me. The other day someone said we should have a Caribbean flag, and we said we already have one, it's the Jamaican flag.
Jamaican flags, it represents me, it represents you, it represents every Jamaican.
We're no longer subjects of colonialism, directed by the orders of the British, but free citizens of our very own country. O green isle of the Indies, Jamaica, strong and free, our vows and loyal promises, O heartland, 'tis to thee.
That's how we close out this Heroes Day edition of Jamaica Magazine. I do hope you were inspired to make a difference in your corner of the rock. Share your plans and thoughts with us through email, jamaicamagazine@jis.gov.jm. Join us on all the major social media platforms, visit our website and subscribe to our YouTube channel. Catch up with us while on the go by downloading our mobile app. We are here for you. On behalf of the entire team at the JIS, I'm Adrian Atkinson. Thank you so much for watching.
This has been a production of the Jamaica Information Service, the voice of Jamaica.